Waking up one morning, looking in the mirror, and realizing your body has changed in a way the world refuses to accept. Imagine being just a little girl, excited about school, dreaming about your future, only to have strangers stare at you, whisper behind your back, and ask questions that no child should ever have to answer. Now imagine spending years trying to erase a part of yourself, shaving, waxing, hiding, crying, praying that tomorrow you'll wake up looking like everyone else. But what if the very thing the world told you to hide became the reason millions of people would one day admire you? This is not a fairy tale. This is the extraordinary true story of Harnaam Kaur, a British woman who transformed pain into power and became one of the world's strongest voices for self-acceptance. Before we begin, take a moment to think about your own life. Has anyone ever judged you for the way you look, for something you couldn't control? If your answer is yes, then this story is for you. Chapter 1. A Happy Childhood. Every extraordinary story begins with an ordinary child. Harnaam Kaur was born in England into a loving Sikh family. Like many children, she laughed easily, played with friends, and dreamed about what she would become when she grew up. Her family encouraged her to be kind, to work hard, and to value who she was on the inside. Life felt simple. School was exciting. The future seemed full of endless possibilities. At that age, no one imagines that something invisible inside their body could completely change the course of their life. But sometimes, life writes chapters we never expect. Chapter 2. The first signs. Around the time Harnaam entered her early teenage years, something unusual started happening. At first, it was easy to ignore. A few darker hairs appeared on her face. Her family assumed it was temporary. Maybe it was just part of growing up. But weeks turned into months. Months turned into years. The hair became thicker, darker, more noticeable. Soon, it wasn't just a few strands. It was enough that people began to notice. And children can sometimes be incredibly cruel. Chapter 3. The cruel world of school. School should be a place where children learn. Instead, for Harnaam, it became a battlefield. Every morning, she walked through the school gates wondering what would happen that day. Would someone laugh? Would someone point? Would someone make another joke? Sadly, the answer was often yes. Classmates whispered, some stared openly, others called her names. She was mocked for something she had never chosen, something she couldn't simply wish away. Every cruel comment chipped away at her confidence. Every laugh echoed long after the school day ended. When she came home, she often carried invisible wounds, the kind that no bandage can heal. Chapter 4. Looking for answers. Concerned about the rapid facial hair growth, Harnaam's family sought medical advice. Doctors eventually diagnosed her with polycystic ovary syndrome, commonly known as PCOS. PCOS is a hormonal condition that can affect women in many different ways. One of its possible effects is hirsutism, excessive facial and body hair growth caused by higher levels of certain hormones. For Harnaam, finally having an explanation answered one question, but it created many more. Would it ever stop? Could it be cured? Would she ever look like other girls her age? The diagnosis explained what was happening. It did not erase the emotional pain. Chapter 5. Trying to fit in. Like many teenagers, Harnaam wanted one thing more than anything else: to belong. So she began doing everything she could to hide her beard. She shaved, she waxed, she threaded. She tried different methods, hoping that if she could just remove the hair, maybe the teasing would stop. For a few hours, her face looked smoother. But then the hair returned, again and again and again. Each time it grew back, it felt like a reminder that she was fighting a battle she couldn't win. The physical effort was exhausting. The emotional toll was even greater. She spent hours worrying about what other people thought. She avoided mirrors. She worried about photographs. She dreaded meeting new people. Because every new introduction came with the same fear. What will they think when they see me? Chapter 6. The weight of judgment. It's easy to underestimate the power of words. A single insult may last only seconds, but the memory can stay for years. Harnam wasn't just dealing with facial hair. She was carrying the weight of constant judgment. People assumed things about her before they even spoke to her. Some stared, others laughed. Some asked deeply personal questions without considering how hurtful they might be. Imagine having strangers believe they have the right to comment on your appearance every time you leave your home. Imagine feeling like you have to explain your body to complete strangers. No teenager should have to live like that, yet that became Harnam's reality. Chapter 7. Losing confidence. As the years passed, Harnam's confidence began to disappear. The cheerful little girl who once dreamed freely started questioning her own worth. Was she beautiful? Would anyone ever accept her? Could she ever have a normal life? These questions haunted her. The hardest battles are often the ones no one else can see. Behind every smile, she was carrying fear. Behind every conversation, she worried about being judged. Behind every mirror was another reminder of how different she felt. But sometimes, the darkest chapters of our lives prepare us for the brightest ones. What Harnam didn't yet realize was that the very feature she spent years trying to erase would eventually become the symbol of her greatest strength. And the decision she was about to make would shock the world. To be continued in Part 2. In the next part, we'll explore Harnam's emotional turning point, why she chose to stop removing her beard, and how that decision changed her life forever. Kanitnu Part 2, The Bearded Woman Who Refused to Hide. The Incredible Story of Harnam Kaur Part 2, The Breaking Point and the Decision That Changed Everything. Chapter 8. A battle no one could see every day looked the same. Wake up, look in the mirror, reach for the razor, hope today would somehow be different, but it never was. The hair always came back, no matter how carefully she shaved, no matter how much time she spent trying to hide it, no matter how desperately she wanted to look like everyone else. Nothing changed. For Harnam, it wasn't just facial hair anymore. It had become a symbol of everything she believed was wrong with her, and that belief slowly began to take over her life. She stopped seeing the confident young woman she truly was. Instead, she only saw her beard. When someone complimented her, she found it difficult to believe them. When someone smiled at her, she wondered if they were secretly laughing. The voice inside her head became louder than the voices around her. You're different. You'll never fit in. People will always judge you. Those thoughts became impossible to escape. Chapter 9. Living behind a mask. Most people wear masks from time to time, not on their faces, but in their hearts. Harnam became an expert at pretending everything was fine. She smiled when she wanted to cry. She laughed when she felt broken. She told people she was okay, even when she wasn't. Every outing required planning. Every social event created anxiety. Every photograph became another reminder of the insecurity she carried. While her friends worried about hairstyles or clothes, Harnam worried about something much deeper. She wondered whether people would even see her, or whether they would only see the beard. Living like that is exhausting, because when you spend every day hiding who you are, you slowly forget who you really are. Chapter 10. The mirror that changed everything. One evening, after another long day of trying to erase herself, Harnam stood in front of the mirror. She stared quietly. Not for seconds, for minutes. Maybe longer. She looked at the reflection she had spent years fighting. Then she asked herself a question that would change her life forever. How much longer can I keep doing this? She had spent years trying to satisfy people who would never be satisfied. Years trying to meet standards she had never created. Years chasing acceptance from strangers. And yet, she had never accepted herself. For the first time, she realized the problem wasn't her beard. The problem was believing she needed to hide it. Chapter 11. Finding strength in faith. During this difficult period, Harnam found comfort in her Sikh faith. She reflected deeply on its teachings about equality, dignity, and accepting oneself as part of God's creation. She began asking herself another question. If I believe every person is created with purpose, why am I rejecting myself? That thought stayed with her day after day, slowly. It began replacing years of fear. Acceptance didn't happen overnight. There was no magical morning where every insecurity disappeared. Healing rarely works that way. Instead, it happened one decision at a time, one brave thought at a time, one hopeful step at a time. Chapter 12. The boldest decision of her life then came the moment that changed everything. Harnam made a decision that shocked nearly everyone around her. She decided she would stop shaving. No more razors. No more hiding. No more pretending to be someone she wasn't. It sounds simple. But for Harnam, it was one of the bravest decisions she had ever made. She knew people would stare. She knew strangers would whisper. She knew criticism would come. But she also knew something else. If she continued hiding, she would never truly be free. Freedom sometimes begins with one courageous choice. Chapter 13. Stepping into the world, the first time. Harnam walked outside with her beard fully visible. Her heart raced. Every passing stranger felt like a test. Every glance seemed louder than before. Some people looked surprised. Some smiled warmly. Others simply stared. There were moments when fear whispered, "Turn around. Go back home. Hide again." But she didn't. She kept walking, step by step. With every step, her confidence grew just a little stronger, not because people had stopped judging her, but because she had stopped letting their opinions define her. That changed everything. Chapter 14. The internet takes notice as photos of Harnam began appearing online. Reactions came from every corner of the world. Some people couldn't believe what they were seeing. Others asked respectful questions about her condition. Many admired her courage. Of course, not everyone was kind. The internet can be a harsh place. Cruel comments appeared alongside words of encouragement. Some mocked her appearance. Others questioned her choices. Years earlier, those comments might have destroyed her confidence. But now, something had changed. Instead of asking, "Why are they saying this about me?" she began asking, "Why should their opinion decide how I live?" That simple shift transformed her mindset. Chapter 15. From victim to inspiration. The remarkable thing about courage is that it spreads. As Harnam shared her story, people from around the world began reaching out. Women living with PCOS, people struggling with visible differences, individuals battling scars, disabilities, or conditions they couldn't control. Many wrote to tell her the same thing. "Because of your courage, I feel less alone." Those messages meant everything. For years, she had believed her beard was something to hide. Now, it had become a source of hope for others. Pain had found purpose. And purpose gave meaning to every difficult chapter she had lived through. Chapter 16. A new definition of beauty. Society often teaches us that beauty means perfection. Perfect skin, perfect hair, perfect body, perfect smile. But Harnam challenged that idea. She showed the world that beauty isn't about fitting into a narrow definition. Beauty is authenticity. Beauty is confidence. Beauty is kindness. Beauty is having the courage to be yourself in a world that constantly tells you to be someone else. The beard that once brought tears to her eyes now represented resilience, strength, and freedom.